what's up everyone? Sorry if the beginning of the video seems a little dramatic, but that genuinely feels like what I've had to do to get this quad in the air. So if you haven't guessed already from the thumbnail and me holding this in my hand, we're having a re-look at me 04 little quad. Managed to get it flying, I think. So in this video what we're going to do, I'll give you a little brief rundown of what I actually had to do to get this thing working. We'll have a quick look at the build, and then we're actually going to check it out for a fly. So right, let's go. Right, so I think what we'll do, we'll actually just have a quick look at this now, and I'll run you down some of the parts. Now this has gone through one or two different variations over the last few weeks. I'll let you know where it is currently, and as I go through the parts I'll tell you what I've also used. So starting with the props really, when I first built this I had some bi-blades on, the Gemfan 2015s I think they were. I wasn't overly massively keen on how they were flying. I didn't think I had enough grip, if you have such a thing, in the air. So what I ended up doing was I actually changed it to some Gemfan 45mm tri-blades, so 45mm instead of 2-inch. I had a few flights on them and they were okay. Then we upgraded again to the Gemfan, what were the 2023s, and again I think it flew a lot better on them than it did on the 45mm ones. It seemed to have a little bit more power, but I still wasn't 100% happy with them. So what we've ended up with is the Gemfan 2023S. Now these are still a 2-inch tri-bladed prop, but you'll see the difference here between the 2023s and the 2023S. The S is quite important in this. You'll see that the 23S has a single hole just for mounting it on the motor, where the normal 23 has the mounting hole, and then it's got the 2 screw holes for the T-mount screws. Well, obviously the motors on this don't have the T-mounting, so the prop's a little bit lighter. So hopefully that should help with the responsiveness and stuff like that. So speaking of the motors, it's still the same ones that I had on my Pavo Pico, the Beta FPV 1102 14,000 kV, so that's obviously 2S. The frame, same as before, Baby Turtle HD. It's actually got a new camera mount on this now and some bigger standoffs. Before, I had the 04 camera sort of protruding out of the front. It was only really where I could mount it, but sub 250 FPV came up with a new mount, so you can see here the camera's a lot further back in. The only thing that meant was I had to increase the standoff height to fit the camera in, but that's no biggie. Good old AliExpress to the win. Now the all-in-one flight controller in there is the again the Beta FPV F405 2 to 3S. I think that's a 20 amp ESC, again from the Pavo Pico. It's got built-in Express LRS, which is ideal for me. And then antenna wise, I started off with, I had a Flyfish stubby on the back of here, but now to save a little bit of weight I've gone back to the whip antenna that comes with it. A little bit too long for this, so what I've had to do, it's difficult to see here, I'll get a close-up shot of this for you now, is I've actually looped it around the rear standoff just to try and shorten it down a bit, and that's left it nice and firm there, so we should be alright. And then obviously an XT30 on the back for the connector. And that's the quad. So just a little quick rundown of what happened in the last video for those of you that haven't seen it. I'll link it up where the cards go and then down in the video description. Basically, the first time I built this, when it was completely different, I was getting some vibrations in the camera. Now, you know, we had the same issues with 03 when that first come out, and now it's been a bit of time since 04's come out. The Lite especially is really susceptible to vibrations, so didn't know that at the time. So I tried a few things, and one of the things I tried was swapping the PWM frequency on the ESC. Now in order to do that you had to fire up Blue Jay and then reflash it, and I thought great, so I went out and I thought I'll give it a rip, see if that's improved the camera. And what happened was when I went to arm the quad, my motors basically weren't spinning, they were just sort of twitching, almost like it was, when you beep your motors and you can see them vibrating slightly. Yeah, so, oh shit, what have I done? So I come home and I fucked about, reflashed it back to its standard settings and still couldn't get it to arm. Anyway, thanks to you guys in the comments, managed to get it up in the air. couple of things I had to do really, which we'll have a look at the computer now and I'll show you. Right, so what we'll do now, I'll quickly go through and show you some of the settings I had to change to get this thing to arm. Now, we're not actually going to be using the flight controller on this quad because the USB thing's right behind that standoff, and I don't want to dismantle this quad because I want to go out and fly in a minute. But luckily, we have the Pavo 20, which is the exact same flight controller. So I plugged it into that just to fire up the Bluejay configurator and Betaflight. So, right. Basically what had happened was, when I'd reflashed the ESC to the different PWM frequency, it reset these two settings here, which is your motor ramp up and start up power basically, which was preventing the motor spinning properly. Now when I'd reflashed it, both of them were down at a minimum. So what I did, I lifted them both up to where the Pavo 20 is now, and then saved that. And that actually did help a bit, but it didn't do the full job. So what I had to do was head on over to Betaflight and change something else. So I'll show you that now. Right, so here we are now at the Betaflight Motors tab. And the setting we're going to be looking at is this one here, where it says Motor Idle. Now, after the issues I'd had, I went onto the Beta FPV website and basically reflashed the all-in-one back to the standard settings for the Pico. And what had happened is, this setting here had gone down to 4 or 5 or something like that. So basically what I had to do was crank this back up. Now I know this, don't forget, this is the Pico we've got plugged in here, and that's set at what, 10% there. Now when I up this to 10%, the motors still weren't exactly working perfectly, so I actually had to up that to, I think I'm on 12% on the Baby Turtle, and that seemed to get it to arm. Now, the only thing that does worry me slightly is obviously your motor idle speed is how fast your motors spin when you're at 0 throttle. So I am worried about a little bit of prop wash there, because obviously when you're coming out of a split S or a dive or something, you want to be at 0 throttle. And if your motors are spinning a little bit too fast, you could end with a bit of prop wash, which wouldn't be ideal, but we're not going to know exactly till we take it out for a fly. So yeah, just them simple 2 settings seem to fix it. So right, let's get back out. So that was kind of it really, yeah, and that sort of seemed to get the quad up and running. I have flown this a couple of times since then, but not with the new camera mount and the new props. I've only flown it with me protruding camera and me 2023 props, you know, the ones with a thicker mount and the T-mount holes like I was on about earlier. So as it stands now, I don't actually know how this flies. It's super light though. I weighed me previous one, or previous build, when I first built it, and it was it 49 grams? That was obviously without a battery, so I'll weigh this again now just to see if it's similar or maybe lighter. It might be a little heavier, in fact, to be honest, because the taller standoff, but we'll put it on the scales now and have a quick look. Right, so enough waffling about. We're actually going to take this thing out for a fly now, so let's go. Right, so here we are out at the field. Things have gone as they usually do when I try and film a video about this quad. We haven't started off very well. When I got up this morning, it was absolutely pissing down. So I've had to wait for the rain to stop. And as soon as the rain stopped, I thought, right, we'll head to the park. Then we can do some bit of gaps in between some swings and all the stuff over there. And fuck me, I get there full of kids. Selfish little bastards. So yeah, anyway, we've come up to the field where I like to do a bit of testing anyway, so I'm not going to waffle on for too long. We're basically going to get this quad in the air and see what it can do. So let's go. Right, so all left to do now is take it for a little spin. We're in acro mode. We're not going to do it too dramatic here, I just want to give it a bit of a shakedown really, just see what we like. So right, arm in the quad. 3, 2, 1. Arm. Recording, so right, let's go. I love the sound it makes. It's like a little high-pitched scream. I did see a little bit of a wobble there in the goggles. The wind is gearing up though now, so that's not going to be ideal. Slowly cruising back towards myself. Yeah, I'm getting a few bobbles in the goggles there. I don't know what the onboard DVR is like, but a little bit of prop wash. Make sure I don't go anywhere near them power cables that are above me there. Oh, it didn't seem too bad that, coming out of that little dive. Oh, that doesn't actually seem that bad. So I'm getting a few wobbles in the goggles there, but that's maybe the wind, we're not sure. I'm a bit low on, just realised I've only got this set to 25 milliwatts, so my video range isn't going to be the best in the world. But I'm just seeing a few rain drops there coming. Give this a little juicy flick, see what happens with that. Bit of prop wash, but this is a really light quad, you know. I keep trying to compare it to my 5-inch, but I shouldn't really, because there's a little cruising quad. It's not too bad, to be fair. I'm starting to get a little bit of a feel for it now. It's a lot about the throttle with this. It's like there, I went to quite low on the throttle and then pumped it back up, and it hit me with a bit of prop wash. I really do think I might need another all-in-one on this. Something that's a little better. Oh, not what happened there.
Sound RF signal critical.
Something seemed to happen.
Flip and descent
RX loss.
and RF signal critical.
That's really unusual with Express LRS. I don't know whether it's because it's wet. We are seeing some raindrops on the camera now, so close in, it seems fine. I'll put a quick photo on now just to sort of show you where the Express LRS antenna is on this. It's not ideally placed, it's actually like underneath the quad, but I mean before I went further along them fields and it seemed fine, but we are starting to get a bit of rain now, so it's time to pull this in. I think that's maybe what the issue is. Well, that was a kind of interesting first flight there, really. Few little issues. The RX loss there was, I'm not sure, until I go back across the goggle footage when I went a lot further. I don't know if you can see behind me, actually. I went a lot further onto that field before and it seemed fine, but I wasn't really looking at the LQ on the thing. And I mean, that was what, 50 foot away, if that, which was kind of interesting. So I'm assuming that was maybe the rain, but again, we can look at that. Handling wise, I'm still not happy with it. The prop wash handling's terrible, really. You know, you can sort of fly around it, which I tried to do there, but it still didn't handle great. I am considering getting a different AIO for this, really. I think I've had nothing but issues with both beta FPV ones. It's maybe just a quirk of the AIOs for these. So anyway, it looks like this fucking rain's coming back again, so let's get home. I'll have a quick glance through the footage and we'll have a chat about it, so let's get home. Right, so here we are back home. Rain stopped play on that one, so I had to come back and look through the footage. And it's not actually as bad as I first thought, to be fair. I've run some of the footage through Gyroflow and it's come out not too bad. I'll put a little bit on screen now for you to take a look at. No need to ask, he's a smooth I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not ideal running freestyle footage through Gyroflow. I mean, that was I think it was 5%, something like that. It didn't come out too bad, but I'd rather not have to do that and get this thing flying well enough so that I don't have to put it through Gyroflow or use any stabilisation, to be honest. I have been looking at some different all-in-ones. There's a couple I'm looking at. There's the Flywoo Goku F405 HD that's got Express LRS built in. Ideally I want something with Express LRS built in because I don't want to have to mess about adding a separate receiver And the other one was the, I forget what it was called now. There was another one. If I remember where it is, I'll put it on screen now so you can have a look. But yeah, still overall very happy with this little thing. It's a great little quad just to put in your pocket and go for a fly with. So yeah, I'll put my full list of build specs down below, and I'll put the different all-in-ones I'm going to be trying as well, if anyone's interested. All right, great stuff. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.